Today I'm going to introduce a new technology of iOS development called Apple Watch app development. As we all know, Apple Watch is a new member in the Apple devices family. Let's take an example to see how Apple Watch app works with an iPhone app. This is an application using the Weather Forecast Web Service API. Let's run it and see what happens. So this is the Apple Watch simulator, and this is the iPhone one. In the iPhone application, we can view the table view listing the latest 16 days weather and its main data. Click one of the cells and we can go into a detail view, viewing more details information of that day's weather. Okay, and from hardware external display, we can open an Apple Watch simulator like this. So for the main interface of the Apple Watch, you can see the most important information, that is the temperature, day temperature of the current locations, listing here. And we have a button, refresh. And usually the data, the weather information not change that frequently. So when we tap the refresh, we cannot see any difference. So we can not only view the information on our phone, but also on our watch by just a single tap. Apps in Watch provide us a quick and straightforward view for our most desirable information. Like the demo weather app, usually we only care about the current temperature, that we can view it on the watch conveniently instead of taking out the phone and taking some more action. But how an Apple Watch app works with the iPhone app? So far, we can only develop the Watch app as a companion app for iPhone app. This may change in the new iOS 9 system. But now we have to have an iPhone app before we start to develop the Watch app. So in our project, usually we will have a project name, project test, and these two groups are added by the file new target, and we select from the Apple Watch in iOS, WatchKit app. Next, select the language we use, and select or deselect include notification scene or include ground scene. And click finished. We will create the WatchKeep app and WatchKeep extension for our project. Here I have already created them, so let's take a look at it. We can see there are 3 controllers because I choose all the scene selections when I create a target, and we can also add them manually later from here. Interface controller, which is the main interface, glance interface, and notification interface. Drag them in the storyboard. When event happens on the watch, all the logic calculation must be done on the iPhone, and then send the result back to the watch and update the view. Sometimes when the phone receives some special event like push notification, it will send it to the watch and show on the watch as well. There is some difference between the Watch app and iOS app. One of them is the object library. We can see here is the object library for the Watch app storyboard. there's some new controller, some new objects such as separator and menu items. They are all designed for the size of the smaller screen for Apple Watch. Another difference between the Watch app and iOS app is there's no auto layout on the Watch app. For example, I drag in a label here and we cannot use the size class or the constraints showing below, just like the iOS storyboard. Like this is an iOS storyboard. We can choose the size class or define the constraints, add some new constraints to it to define the position of this item. However, in the WatchKit app, the label can only decide by the two dimensions, horizontal or vertical. So we can select from left, center, or right for the horizontal position and top center button for the vertical position. So let's see, if we select left for horizontal, we can see the labeled listing on the left. For example, both of the label and the separator are vertical as top, list as the stack, the label and the separator and another label. And the button is the vertical position of this button is bottom, so it will always sit at the bottom of this view. Also, we can change the color and font size, font for this label text. And another difference is the action and outlets connected with the user interface. On the Watch app is using the Bluetooth. So we have the IP outlet for the label and the action for the buttons. That's a similar part for both Apple Watch app and the iPhone app. But the difference is for all these actions or codes are executed on the phone instead of the watch. So it used the Bluetooth techniques to execute those codes and send the results back to the watch and reflect the user interface updates on the watch. There are totally 3 scenes of Watch app: main interface, notification scene, and glance scene. So here I have already added 3 scenes here and in the storyboard. So the main interface is the default interface for the Watch app, which is the necessary one. And we can display some important data on the watch. For example, here I display the day temperature of the current location and the location name. Here is a button to refresh the temperatures. So just like the iOS development, we can control drag the label or the button to the code. So here we can see the temp labels and the actions tab refresh. Then the following is just like what we did in the iOS development. we can define the variables and write the functions like here get weather data and parse the data and display the temperature on the watch view. So let's try to run this app and see what happened on the watch. We select the WatchKey app and make sure in the watch interface here, that's the main interface. And then we run it. So here is the watch simulator, and we can see it is the current temperature of Wayne, which is my current location, and here is a refresh button. I tap the button, there's no change because the temperature is kind of persistent in a short term. So that's the main interface. Then let's see the notification scene. So each scene will have a controller, notification controller like this. And in the storyboard, we can design the background and the label here, the color of the font, the size of the font, and so on. So let's try to run it. So here's the notification scene. It will show on your watch when you receive some notifications. And here is a button, temperature. If you tap it, it will open the main interface and show the temperature. And then we also have a scene called glance scene. This scene, you will see it on the glance view on your watch. And usually you don't need to open your app on your watch. It will show on the layer with some common apps like the weather, the calendar, the watch, and so on. So here I only use a wind weather label in the first group, and in the second group I place an image to show the current weather. You'll also see in the glance controller, I also use this get weather data method to get the current weather icon and put it in the weather image, which is control drag from the storyboard into this controller file. Let's see if we run it, what happened. So we can view the current weather icon. For now, there's a clear moon showing the current weather in a straightforward way. So usually we don't add too much text content or much controlled actions in this view. We only show those most important and straightforward data on this view. And that's glance scene. If we tap on it, it will automatically transfer to the main interface and show the temperature and so on.